Well, fantastic. Well, team, welcome to today's Power 30. My name is Sam Johnson. I will be your host, and really excited for today's call because we actually have two guests, Rick Powell and Laura West, joining us from the PayTrace team. Now, for those of you that are new to Power 30s, I want to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on what to expect from today. Power 30s are basically your insight into PayTrace and the industry from some of the professionals that make things happen in the background. These are only 30 minutes long, so we're going to get in and get you out here pretty quickly. We're going to learn a little bit about some things that are happening right now. And we want to let you guys have the ability to ask questions and interact with us. So you'll notice that you are muted, right? We just want to remove some background noise. But if you do have questions, wiggle around your mouse. You'll see a little box probably towards the bottom of your page that says Q&A. If you click on that, you can send in any sort of questions, feedback to us as we go through this. We typically take about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of every session to get those answered. So get your questions in early and we'll have a better chance of getting them on this call. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our guests today. I'm going to start with Rick. Rick is our tech operations manager, and Laura West is our product manager. So we've got a few folks from our leadership management team here. Now, Rick, kind of the icebreaker that I've always heard go to is the fact that you actually used to live underwater, right? Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
I don't know if living would be what you would call it, but I served on a ballistic missile submarine, spent 5 years, 557 days underwater, not all in one stretch. The longest was about 119 days. That was abnormal, but average was about 105. So yeah, a little bit over a year underwater.
That's awesome. And we were just talking about this before we hopped on this call, but you said something about laundry catching on fire. Any weird experiences in the ocean?
Yeah, there's plenty of those. Yeah, sometimes your laundry would catch on fire. That was never fun. You go 2-3 weeks without laundry, or longer. The worst time was we lost one of our freezers, and all we had for like the last 5 weeks of patrol was chicken. The freezer with chicken didn't go bad. The other one did. So chicken a la king, chicken tetrazzini, chicken and biscuits, chicken. So 5 weeks of chicken, you get a little tired of chicken. You don't want to see the colonel after that.
I bet. Reminds me of Bubba from Forrest Gump, all the different types of shrimp.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Laura West, welcome. We've been trying to get you on this for a while. We were talking the other day. Everybody has their challenges right now with COVID going on, and some interesting things happening out there. But you specifically have something that's interesting that has to do with your chickens. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we have a lot of chickens. We started off with 6. We now have over 20 of them. And I used to be able to bring those eggs into the office. Everybody liked their special delivery of eggs. And now that we can't go into the office, I have eggs piling up everywhere. So I beg people, our neighbors, our family, to take eggs. It's been quite the experience. And we're like, did we really need this many chickens?
Well, it's a good way to meet your neighbors and make some new friends, I suppose. So that's awesome. Well, team, let's get into some of the fun stuff here. You guys may have recently noticed that PayTrace had some system maintenance a few weeks back. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We had this recent transition over to this service called AWS. And for those of you that don't know, this is Amazon Web Services. Rick, can you tell us a little bit about what AWS is and kind of what prompted this switch?
Yeah, AWS is the public cloud. In the tech circles, we call it a hyperscaler. It's infrastructure that lives entirely in a public cloud environment. There's Amazon, there's Google, there's IBM, there's Microsoft. They all have their versions. And these are just a subset. That's not, an all-inclusive list, but those are the major players. Most of your SaaS industry lives in the public cloud to some form. And that's just because of the way it's designed. It's designed to consume services and only pay for what you leverage. When you have a traditional data center or data center model, you have to buy capacity that's unused because you're working on a 3 to 5 year deprecation model. So you might buy something today that you won't completely grow into until year 5, which is very expensive. So Amazon allows us just to consume what we need, and it keeps our costs down considerably. So. I am not hearing you.
There we go. Sorry, I'm back. So I've heard a lot about some of the benefits that have come with using a cloud, and the word hyper scalability gets me really excited. What are some of the benefits, Rick, that some of our merchants and our partners might not maybe see, but that they're experiencing from this switch over to the cloud?
Well, I think first off, it's speed, right? I don't know if many of our customers or merchants or our resellers, integrators have noticed our page loads now are about half of what they used to be. It doesn't necessarily speed up our internal processes because there's so many different interactions, and we're just not talking about within PayTrace, but within our processors and stuff too. So that may not speed that part up, but speed is the first one. Reliability is the second one. It's easier to scale. We're able to custom design our solutions that are highly available, scalable, robust, and reliable. That's something that what really drew us to us. And I know June of last year was a painful day. I wasn't here for that. I came in I think November this last year. But we've now built something that should preclude that from happening. And you never say never, because Mount St. Helens can erupt and something like that is possible right now, technically. Geographically, a whole region goes down. But at that point, I think there's probably more concerns going on than, the data center stuff. But right now we are in 3 different, what's called availability zones. That's 3 different data centers, physical separation, and also with all complete power, separation of power distributions, input out or ingress and egress of internet connectivity. It's all different from each one of them. So it really increases our reliability and scalability across the board.
That's awesome. So I definitely heard that speed factor. And I think, we talked to our marketing team who kind of monitors a lot of the page load times and things like that. And like you said, it's increased on some browsers, 20 to 50% in some instances as far as speed goes. So, it's not something that you're always sitting there being like, man, why did it take 1.2 seconds instead of 1.1 second, right? But subconsciously, I've exited out of pages when they take too long to load. So that's super exciting. And then reliability. I mean, I think that resonates with us just because, we're all about being the gateway to happy 5-star support, right? We want our platform, our system to be super reliable, right? When our merchants are using the gateway, they want to be able to know that, yeah, we can, right, get paid essentially. So
I agree. I think right now, more than any time ever that I can remember, especially with COVID, it's really important that our merchants, our customers are able to process payments. Business is hard to come by. Every one of our merchants, our small businesses, is really working hard to get customers in the door, doing things they've never had to do. And so when they do get that opportunity to make a sale, we got to make sure that they have that ability to make that sale. Absolutely.
Right. We want a very seamless experience. So I think that's awesome. This is a huge win for us. Now, Laura, on the product side of things, right? What are the implications with AWS for you and your team?
AWS allows us to start growing and maturing and how quickly we can get new value out to our merchants and resellers. So that's kind of the exciting part for us. The additional part, Rick kind of touched on it, is it provides us with more monitoring opportunities so that we can be more proactive when potential problems start showing signs. We can see those and get right on there and start fixing those up before any of our users even notice a problem. So that's kind of the exciting part for product.
That's awesome. And Laura, you mentioned something that I think should resonate with a lot of the people on this call, especially if they've been on previous Power 30s, is delivering value, right? And I think Eric Jenks brought this up in a Power 30 a few months back, where we kind of committed to delivering some type of value in, every 2 weeks, right? We're kind of working in these 2-week cycles, and that's in what we're calling an agile process. Laura, what types of changes has your team need to implement? I know there's been some growth within the product side of PayTrace. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Sure. So a few years back, we created the product team. We're now 6 strong, and that allowed us to start creating product more rapidly, more focused. Additionally, by switching over to Agile, we were able to start focusing on kind of the minimal viable product, getting small pieces out there fast, getting value to our merchants faster. We switched from releasing once every month or so to releasing every 2 weeks. That gives us more opportunities to get something in the hands of our merchants, or at least beta merchants, to start collecting that feedback so that we can customize it more to what the merchants actually need versus what we think they need. We certainly do our research beforehand, but until somebody has the ability to put their hands on it and start actually working with it, sometimes it's hard to say exactly what you need. So we're able to get things out there faster, get some of our merchants using it, get that feedback, and then make those adjustments. For example, we recently got several projects out there. PayTrace Protect is in our beta. EMV version 2 is in beta and should be launching here in July. I think Justin's going to be talking about that pretty soon on a Power 30. Payment Link is fairly new. We upgraded our PayTrace Go, and we're working on EMV on our PayTrace Go. So lots and lots of things happening in product right now.
Yeah, you guys are definitely keeping busy, which is exciting, right? Because I know in the past, things didn't work like that. They used to kind of come out in these large chunks, right? We'd put a lot of work into something, and then we'd release it all at once, and then we have to go back and re-add to that. And with this new process, it sounds like we're really able to just iterate and get a good foundation and just build on that. And I think we've really seen that, especially with Payment Link, which we launched late last year, which I'd say over the last few months has been phenomenal. Merchants are loving that. So Laura, kudos to you and your team on some great work there. You're making sales a lot easier for us.
And hopefully making merchants even happier.
We're making merchants happy. Exactly. Rick, I want to kind of put Agile in the lens of tech operations, because, when we made this switch to Amazon Web Services, this wasn't just a light lift, right? This was a pretty big deal. Yeah, chuckling. I know that you've had previous experience prior to PayTrace with AWS. Can you kind of talk a little bit about, how PayTrace has been able to implement this compared to, kind of what some other organizations may be facing? And I think you're muted right now as well.
Yeah. So my most previous position was with a major shoe company, not the one from here, although I have worked for them as well. But we actually were asked to move a data center, the only North American data center, from Boston to Portland, and they gave us 8 months to do it. And as part of that, they said they wanted to move 60% of the applications, which we talk one application here, but 60% of their applications, I think we migrated 500 applications out of that data center to the cloud, and which was going to be Amazon. And we had 8-9 months. And by the time we were done, we had won kind of up in the cloud, and it was really kind of let's just force something up there that makes to say it. So for us to do this work, we had to refactor the entire data center into the differences between Amazon, a hyperscaler, and the traditional data center, rebuild it in the cloud. I think Laura's learned probably more. She led the Scrum teams doing this work, more about the differences and why things just don't easily go. It's not a one for one. So my point is the differences and the difficulty was immense, right? So for six people on the tech ops team mostly, and then we had 3 devs and a tester. So I want to include them in this as well, because it was all one team. To migrate all of that, all of our system into the Amazon Web Services platform was very difficult, and they did a really good job at doing it under very tight timelines. I don't know if many people know, we just wrapped up today our PCI onsite. We also did pen testing in March. So while all this is going on, we did PCI certification, which we just wrapped up this morning. Actually, I was just on a call before this one to do that. So it's very difficult. And having a company like a major, manufacturer of shoes not be able to do it in 8 months with the millions and millions of dollars they have and all those unlimited resources says a lot for the team. This is completely of the team who made that happen.
And one of our values that we keep as PayTracers is industry expertise, and definitely seen an amazing amount of expertise, Rick, within your team, just really putting in a lot of great work to make this happen, to help make our platform more secure, more stable, more reliable for our partners. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to point out one other thing is that not only was all the team engaged in the Amazon transition, they still made sure that other product was going out the door at the same time. Mm-hmm. It was very important, so we did not stop delivering value to our customers and our merchants. So that was a high priority for us.
Absolutely. And I want to make a point, like when this switch happened, we did this at a Saturday morning at like 3 a.m. or something like that. 1 a.m. Yeah, exactly. You guys know, you were up. I think literally half of our company was up Saturday at 1 a.m. making sure this thing went through. There was so much excitement around that. So it's really a big deal. This is something that we really wanted to celebrate and promote on today's call. So in a moment, we'll transition into questions, but Laura, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit more because you mentioned some beta projects, EMV specifically. Kind of tell us maybe a little bit about how that's going, where are we at right now, and maybe just a couple quick snippets on EMV.
Sure. The new EMV version 2 that will be launching here in July is currently in beta. It is a plug and play type experience, very smooth. We're having very good feedback during the beta. Hardly any glitches at all. It's exciting. We're really excited about that. We're getting a few more beta on there. Additionally, it includes EMV through the API, so our integrators can start adding EMV as well. So watch for the news if you're interested. We're getting our vendors all lined up right now so that they can start selling that device that we'll be using. So yeah, lots going on, and it's just around the corner.
That's awesome. And you did kind of tee it up, but we do have our next Power30 scheduled for early July, where we're going to be interviewing our Vice President of Operations, Justin Goes, who's going to be diving into EMV once we are ready for full launch on that. So really excited for that one. That's going to be his first Power30 as well. So we'll try to make that a little easy for him. So I'm going to hop into a few of the questions here. A couple interesting ones. Laura, we're going to stay on the EMV thing. Andrew's asking about the actual device itself, the IDTech Augusta. Could you just maybe describe really quick what does the device look like, and how would a merchant use this?
Sure. The device looks very similar to a small swipe device that you're probably familiar with if you've ever worked at a POS station. It looks like that, but you can also dip the device. It is an IDTech product, and basically you plug it into your computer, it's going to connect, and it's going to start working with our new EMV version 2. It's that simple.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get my hands on one, but it's basically just like a little wedge, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it just goes into the USB port on the computer, right?
That is correct.
So I've heard the terms plug and play thrown around quite a bit, but from what I can tell is this one pretty much is you just plug and play, right?
Yes, yes. For those that are on our current EMV version 1, we do need to flip a setting switch just to make sure that they're connecting to the new EMV version 2. Just keeping that out there, so in case something doesn't quite plug and play as easily as you think and you currently are using EMV with us, there is a setting that does need to be changed.
Mm-hmm. Cool, and that should be pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have some more operations trainings on that in the very near future.
Yep.
Unsurprisingly, most of the questions coming through are EMV, so I apologize, Rick, but I think I'm going to gear a lot of these towards Laura. Cheryl has been chomping at the bit, it sounds like this for a while, but she's asking about EMV for mobile. You had kind of teased that out there. It sounds like there's a need for a Bluetooth EMV device. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, very exciting. We are in the testing phase, internal testing phase of our PayTrace Go EMV with a Bluetooth device. So that is coming. We're getting really close to feeling confident to kind of putting that into a beta phase. We're not quite there yet, but I do expect that to happen within the next month. So if you are interested in being and helping us do some beta, getting some merchants on that beta, then please reach out and let us know, and we will contact you when we're ready for that.
Love that. Yeah, so please, team, reach out to our sales team if that is something that you're interested in, and we will keep you on the short list for beta testing when we roll that out. We're just going to keep chugging along with this. You mentioned vendors. Are we able to communicate what vendors are going to be supporting this currently?
What I can communicate right now is that we had one vendor for the EMV version 1. We actually have 4 vendors for the EMV version 2. So we are expanding. We took the feedback that one just wasn't the right fit for our sales partners and merchants. So we are expanding that, and the list will be coming out soon.
Yeah. So I will add to that team if that is something that you're interested more. Check out the Power30 in early July, and we're going to have all that information ready to go. So Leanne is on here, and she's asking, what is on my face? Yeah, thanks, Leanne. I grew a mustache during COVID, so I was wondering if anyone was going to point that out, but there it is. So thanks for calling it out. A couple comments from Marcy and Tate about some eggs, Laura. Are we able to get some eggs out to our resellers?
Wow. I'm always happy to deliver eggs. We'll have to figure out where you're located, though. Driving distance is a limitation.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a limitation there, but maybe we can make something happen. We can do some trades. I want to go ahead and I'm actually going to launch a quick poll, because we've got some key people on PayTrace's team here. And one thing that I think is really important is for us to get information from you guys, right? Our partners, our merchants, our integrators. We always want to know what you're hearing, right? What's going to make things easier to sell? What's going to make things better for your merchants as far as payment processing goes? So I want to know, how many of you guys have any sort of suggestions for new features for PayTrace, right? Whether it's something kind of unique that your merchants have asked, if there's an integration that you're looking for. We want to be able to gather that data from you, because that's super important for us as we build out our system. So I'm going to leave this poll up here for just another 10 seconds or so. But let us know, have you run across anything that you think would be a great fit for PayTrace that's going to make things better for you and your portfolio? And we'll shut this one down in 3, 2, 1. All right. So it looks like about half and half. Laura, I know that, your team, you in particular, have asked a few times about, what do our partners want? What are our merchants asking for? When folks have suggestions like that, what do you recommend? What's the best way to get a hold of PayTrace and let us know?
You are welcome to call your account executive here at PayTrace. Merchants can call into our support line. All of that feedback, I work really closely with both areas, and we collectively look at the data and try to identify what's going to meet our merchants' needs and our sales partners' needs the best.
Yeah. So I would just echo, probably the best thing that our partners can do is just reach out to the sales team, right? We want to hear all that data, gather as much information as we can, because that will help, Laura and team decide, what's going to be the best project to focus on next. So sales@paytrace.com, and send that through. And then Rick, as far as, keeping up to date on maybe some of the infrastructure stuff, if there's some operation folks on this call that want to be able to keep up with status updates with PayTrace, what's kind of the best way for that?
Yeah, we have a website. I believe it's statuspage.paytrace.com. I think they're bringing that up right now, which we can log in and see where all the systems are at, if they're up or down. I think they include some of our processing networks, which we don't have control of, but you can see what's going on. So I encourage you to go out to that site and subscribe to the updates on it. So when any time a change happens or there's a maintenance window that's coming up, you guys will be the first to know.
Excellent. And it's funny, I actually got some feedback from a partner the other day. We know there was a little bit of disruption with one of the processing networks, and turns out that they actually learned about that disruption through PayTrace's status page, even before the network themselves got the information out. So I thought that was really cool, really responsive with this. So team, if you go to our website homepage, system status, right here next to the sign in button, and that'll get you over to status.paytrace.com. Subscribe for status updates. Anytime something is happening, we send out an email notification, and you can always come in here and check, the current status of all of our different systems, which I think is pretty exciting. I love all that data. All right, let me see if there's any last questions before we wrap this up. We do have a couple pricing questions as far as some things go. If you do have any pricing questions about any of these new products or anything, we'll be happy to talk with you offline about that. Again, just reach out to your sales team here at PayTrace, shoot us an email, or give one of our account execs a call, and they'll get back to you on that. So, all right. Well, team, I think we are right at time. Rick, Laura, I want to thank you both again for the super insightful Power 30. I feel like I learned something new every time I chat with you guys, so hopefully our partners did as well. And hopefully we'll have you guys back out here again sometime in the near future.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your week.